Hey guys, welcome back to Starcastic Remarks. Alongside James, my name is Ryan Chambers. We are the official Dallas Stars podcast of THPN. Thank you guys for joining us live here. If you are doing so, please consider clicking like and subscribe and hitting that notification bell if you're watching on YouTube. And even if you're watching afterwards, we would appreciate it if you would do the same. Thank you to our sponsor, DraftKings Sportsbook. Their Pick 6 option, that is THPN, is the promo code there. You get some little freebies and goodies there when you go there. Dallas Stars, or excuse me, the Winnipeg Jets win the game here tonight by a final score of 4-0. Nobody really showed up here in the game tonight. So it's Winnipeg Jets versus nobody because the Stars basically forfeited the game, James. We're going to jump into a lot of storylines here tonight, and I'm going to ask you about them, but I just want to get your initial first thoughts. What do you think about this game?
Well, I first of all, I think that saying that the Stars didn't show up is a little disingenuous because really it was Winnipeg playing exactly how they've played for 82 games of the regular season. I mean, that's how they won the President's Trophy this year. They got a lead early and just shut everything down defensively. I mean, the Stars couldn't get through the wall of defenders for an extended period of time. And in the first period, for sure, you could say not very many Stars players showed up. But in the second period, once the line shuffling kind of started, the Stars started to click, and then Hellebuyck showed up, and he shut it down. And then eventually, the Winnipeg's defense caught back up, and it was shut down from there on out. For sure, the answer for the Stars was way too late. But I mean, this is the Winnipeg Jets. This is what they do.
See, I'm glad you're more positive, and it's a good thing I'm not doing this podcast by myself because I am in the complete opposite of you here, James, tonight. I'm sorry.
It was a complete masterclass from the Jets' perspective. That was a fantastic game for them. They're not a super heavy offensive team. They are good on the power play. They got a power play goal early. They got some lucky bounces. I mean, that's the exact type of game that Dallas was playing not 4-5 years ago. That's bonus hockey.
I understand that, and I am not upset in the nature that the series is tied 1-1 because we did steal home ice advantage from Winnipeg. So that was the one positive that I can take out of this game. Even before the game even started. Where I'm at is, yes, Winnipeg played their game, but Dallas is a better team than that. They didn't show up tonight. And yes, I will give Winnipeg some credit for it, but I'm not going to give them a whole lot of credit because Dallas didn't show up. That's why I'm extremely frustrated and infuriated tonight. Nobody showed up. There was a ridiculous, stat out there. I think it was Michael Dixon, the guy who took over for Owen Newkirk on the radio side for intermission and pre and post game on the ticket. He said that the Stars have not scored a goal without Mikko Rantanen involved in the last 240 plus minutes. I forgot what it was exactly. It was like 241 minutes and like 36 seconds or something like that. You can't win games like that. And we've talked about how the strength of this team is their depth scoring. And honestly, if it wasn't for Mikko Rantanen, one, we wouldn't have a tie in this series, and two, we might not even be in this series without Mikko Rantanen right now. And yes, that's credit to Mikko Rantanen and that's credit to Jim Nill. But now when we've lost a game like this in the way that we did it, that is not a good thing anymore. That's in the past. And looking forward, you have to, expect to get contributions from other players. And we'll talk about certain players here in a second. But am I off the wall for saying that?
No, you're not. I think you're totally right. And I think that was the Jets' plan going into the night, was make sure Mikko Rantanen does not get to touch the puck. And that's exactly what they did. Every time he got near it, they had a stick on his stick. It didn't matter if he was the one playing it or not. And that's big props to Winnipeg. And you're exactly right on the point of other people have to do it. There are tons of great players on this Stars team who can score by themselves too. I mean, it shouldn't be the Mikko Rantanen show. That hopefully after this game, they can see it, and that's done and dusted, and we can get back to some more Stars, just all 4 lines scoring.
Okay, I want to bring this tweet up because this is the complete opposite, and I have a lot of respect for Hunter. He's in a little Stars group chat that I'm a part of, but at Hunter Dallas HKY, obviously for hockey, here's his tweet for those of you that are listening on the audio side. I know it's 3-0, but we've been stoned by Hellebuyck and hit the post like 4 times. They've also had all 3 goals from puck luck. Not saying we're playing amazing, but I'm not upset. They're trying. Just one of those games. It happens. Sigh. And that put it into perspective for me a little bit, and it calmed me down a little bit. But at the same time, I don't agree with the fact that all 3 goals were puck luck, because the key for me, James, is we didn't even control the freaking puck. Not once. And I was even more frustrated because I said, okay, it's 2-0 after the first. That's still doable to come back from. And I expected a way better effort in the second period. And they didn't even touch the puck. And they didn't look good at all until the final 5 minutes of the second period. And even then, they still find a way for their best player, Mikko Rantanen, to take a penalty. And they did that numerous times tonight. So I want to give Winnipeg credit for how they played, but the Stars shot themselves in the foot like 3 or 4 different times tonight when they could have built momentum from this game. And they did stupid stuff, did absolute stupid stuff where they didn't play their game. They took a penalty. And unlike other games, most of the penalties in this game against Dallas were legit 100% penalties. And you cannot be that undisciplined in the Stanley Cup playoffs. And I'm sorry, James, I'm going off a little bit of a rant.
Keep going.
You cannot have an effort like this in the playoffs. That is something for game 40 of the regular season, not game 7 or game 9 of the playoffs in the second round against the best team in the Central Division. That is why, for me, as true as that tweet is that Hunter said, it's unacceptable the way they played today. That is why I am frustrated. And again, I'll go back to this and the fact that they just try to find ways to make it hard for themselves instead of just trying to take a stranglehold on a series when they're obviously the better team. In my opinion, I personally believe that. I think that Winnipeg is not even as good as Colorado. If Colorado was in this series, I'd still pick Colorado over Winnipeg. But it's just frustrating that they are making it hard for themselves in every single form or facet, and they just can't be consistent. It's like we see this fantastic team in game 7 where where they finally get it going. And then in game 1, they play a very good road game and they take care of their opportunities and stuff like that. And then tonight, they just shoot themselves in the foot left and right. When it finally seems like they got something going, they take dumb penalties. I'm just talking circles now. I'm sorry, James.
There's the first double minor is so stupid. I don't think we've had a high sticking minor besides Rantanen's in the second period now that has not been a double minor. I mean, Hintz barely taps that dude with his stick. If you go back and watch it, just barely, and it busts his lip perfectly. I mean, that's pretty unlucky from the get-go, in my opinion. And they score on the second half of that double minor too. But you're exactly right, especially on those taking penalties thing. It has killed the Stars' momentum multiple times, especially in the third period. The Stars just could not get going because every 3 or 4 minutes they took a penalty. I mean, they didn't give themselves a chance to get back in the third period. And I'll push back a little bit in the second. This second part of the second period was all Hellebuyck. I mean, the Jets were wide open. Stars were passing through them like Swiss cheese at times, and they could not get one in. And that's failed execution on a couple of players. I mean, there's at least 3 or 4 big chances that should be sunk on average goaltenders. And maybe you hope to get one of those at least against Connor Hellebuyck, who did play like Connor Hellebuyck tonight.
And now that I've got all that the frustration with Dallas off my chest, now I can actually acknowledge that yes, Winnipeg was very good tonight. They did everything that they wanted to do. And honestly, what this game reminded me of was the regular season when Winnipeg played against Dallas. They could not get anything done. So the fact that Connor Hellebuyck was Connor Hellebuyck tonight, the one that will win the Vezina and possibly could win the Hart Trophy as well. This really worries me now because as much of it as a huge player Mikko Rantanen is for this team, and as he very much was a game changer in both series so far, Connor Hellebuyck plays the more important position, and that's nothing Mikko Rantanen can do. Goaltenders can single-handedly take over a series. And Ottinger almost did that in 2022 against Calgary. We keep referencing it all the time. But Connor Hellebuyck, this is the first game I've seen out of him in the playoffs where he's looked like the dominant Connor Hellebuyck that we know of. I'm afraid that's going to get him going.
I see what you're saying, but I mean this Jets team means nothing to me until they win an away game. Joe Baker just said it in the comments. He said Winnipeg has to win a road game in order to get me worried. I totally agree. I mean, if you saw what they did in the last series, they only scored 5 goals between those 3 games on the road. They have struggled on the road, and the Stars are really good at home. So those two things combined, I mean, it's going to take a lot more than winning a home game 4-0, which the Avs did in game 4 of last series, by the way, to get me rattled at all.
In the last 3 games, the only goal scored by a player not named Mikko Rantanen is 1, and that was Wyatt Johnston, who got the game-winning goal, the game series goal, winning series goal in Game 7 against the Colorado Avalanche. And that's another concerning thing when, again, and now we'll actually get into some of these players, Duchesne, just absent, completely absent. Marchment appears to get hurt here in the game. He's basically absent. Wyatt Johnston tonight had a egregious turnover, just a backhand hopeful flip up the boards that almost led to a goal. And then the biggest one of all that it's going to be talked about a lot, James. And I'm not trying, and you know where I'm going with this.
He fully deserves it.
Jamie Benn, like it's like Joe Pavelski 2.0 all over again from last year. We saw Joe Pavelski finally age out the process, and Father Time finally won against Joe Pavelski, which is why he probably retired, because he realized he couldn't be as effective anymore. Are we finally seeing Jamie Benn, his effectiveness end? We have not seen him be super effective in months. And it goes back to the regular season when he didn't score, but I don't know, what was it, 20 games without a goal? He still doesn't have goal number 400 in the regular season. And then the biggest thing over all of this is the fact that Jamie Benn it gets put on the 4th line in the 3rd period. I don't think I've ever seen that in his career where he was put on the 4th line.
And that's when the Stars looked the best too, which is the thing that really confirms it too, is you put him down there, and I mean, you're able to put the Duchesne, Sagan, Marchment line back together. That looked pretty good for the rest of the game. They had a couple of chances here and there, and then Johnston with Dodonov looked pretty good too.
And the other frustrating thing, and I'll talk about it here real quick too, is, and I already talked about it, but I want to give more light to it, is just they have to rely so much on their penalty kill in this game, just because of all the dumb penalties that they took. And I mean, you take as many penalties as they did tonight, they're gonna make you pay. Like any team from here until the Stanley Cup final, whoever you face is gonna make you pay if you give them enough opportunities. And by the grace of God, somehow the only person that was able to score a goal was the best player in the world in the last series. against them on their PK. And I don't see that happening again. So we were just completely undisciplined tonight in just every facet of the game. And it started early on with that double minor from Sagan. And yeah, it might not have been a double minor, but it was still a penalty. It was absolutely a penalty.
For sure.
So it needs to be addressed. It needs to be addressed. The Jamie Benn situation is really starting to become a storyline because he's costing the team games and he's costing the team shifts. And I forgot where I saw it, but he looks like Bambi out there. Just looks completely lost.
Yeah, and I expect him to start on the fourth line next game, honestly, because it's been 3 straight games now, and he didn't even get to 12 minutes of ice time tonight. So
that's scary.
Yeah, it's not good, but he is honestly in dangerous territory where he might get scratched in favor of Blackwell.
They're not going to scratch their captain.
They're not gonna, but it might be smart to.
It might be smart to, but they're not going to do it. They're not going to do that.
No, I agree. From purely what it would look like on the ice, maybe it's the right choice. But if you do that, it's going to be problems in the dressing room.
Well, and even over Blackwell, I would rather have Borkin at this point because we need goals. And as much as Blackwell was big in game 2 and scoring that game, the overtime goal, Bork is more likely to score than Blackwell. But then you go back to the fact, well, Bork is a rookie and Blackwell's a veteran, and typically the vets are the ones that perform better in the high stress, high pressure situations. Excuse me.
I really think if we had the lines the way they were towards the end of the game for the whole game, there would have been at least 1 goal. At least. I mean, they were truly cooking late in the second. And then I think the only reason why they couldn't get it going in the third is because of penalty trouble. I mean, they took 3 minor penalties, 1 at the very end of the second, and then 2 towards the beginning of the third. And then you leave yourself with 10 minutes left.
And I mean, even 4-on-4, there was even some 4-on-4 stuff that they had. So
yeah, and I liked Pete DeBoer pulling the goalie on the 4-on-4. He's trying to get the Jets trapped, get themselves a chance. It didn't work, unfortunately. But the reason why it looks so good is because they can't ice the puck there. So I like the idea, but it didn't work out.
I found the tweet from Michael Dixon. It's 241 minutes and 32 seconds. 241 minutes and 32 seconds.
That's a lot of ice time.
That's just utterly ridiculous. Anything else that we need to talk about? Give me some bright things to think about, James.
There were a couple of players that played pretty well. I think Rantanen still had a pretty good night. The Jets really clamped down on him and couldn't get in, or he couldn't get in. But what are you pulling up? We couldn't watch game 1. Did Robo play better in game 2? He looked better than I expected. Robo played very good tonight. That was one thing. I really thought Robo was going to score tonight. He was all over the ice. He was making plays. He was getting in hard on the forecheck, and that's really comforting to see. And especially as soon as they pulled Dodonov up there with him and Wyatt, they instantly got a scoring chance. So I think Robertson's gonna have a big game next game. It's not just going to be Rantanen show for the rest of the series. It can't be, and it's not going to be.
If it tries to become a Rantanen series all over again, the Stars are not going to win this series.
No. The big difference between Rantanen last series and Rantanen this series was Rantanen was invisible to start the series. Last one. I mean, completely invisible. He had 1 assist through like 3 or 4 games, and then he just exploded at the end, which, I mean, it worked out great for the Stars, but you got to get back to the way you were playing in those early games in round one. You got to get back to your team play. You got to get back to not giving up chances. You got to make it first to pucks. I mean, that was a big thing. Yes, the Jets got some bounces, but they were also to the puck first. And that normally doesn't happen with this Stars team.
And the only other thing I can think of, James, and then we can move on unless you have something else to talk about. But they didn't seem to win very many puck battles tonight, and despite them winning like what 70% of the faceoffs tonight or something
By
ridiculous.
the end, it was 57-43.
Okay, so still that's a majority of faceoffs. That's a good majority of faceoffs, and again like that looks great. I mean, you win the faceoff battle, but like you don't control the game at all, man. Like from the very like the second shift of the game, Sagan taking the penalty that he did, and you chased for the entire game, or maybe not even chase. I don't even think the Stars left the finish line or the starting line.
Yeah, they tried to in the second, but then Winnipeg kind of punched them back to it.
Yeah, so it was almost like they took a 100 meter sprint and then just, okay, I'm done, I'm good. But
I think I want to talk about Bichel for a little bit. The Bichel Petrovic still looks great. They're physical. They really tried to push energy into it. Bichel cannot take that penalty in the third period. That really killed it. I mean, you just got off the penalty kill, and it was an obvious one too. And call it cross-checking, call it boarding, whatever you want. It's the same thing as a hit from behind, and you can't have that when you're down by 3.
And I know he didn't do it on purpose, and it was and everything like that. But I mean, I don't know. I don't know what you say to Bichel on that play, because I don't think he did it on purpose.
You don't say anything because no one ended up showing up anyway. So
right. So that, I mean, that's another thing. Is just like, despite all of these guys looking really good, didn't matter.
They couldn't
The
hit
majority
the back
of them
net,
didn't.
And I think that's where Hellebuyck comes into the equation. Like, the Stars didn't play good. A couple of players had really big chances, and they couldn't convert because of Hellebuyck. And it was because of Hellebuyck. I mean, he had some gargantuan saves, especially in the second.
And that is why I'm really worried about the rest of the series, because we have not seen that Connor Hellebuyck in the postseason. He
played good
I watched
in the second game against St. Louis too. I mean, that was a 2-1 win for Winnipeg. So to say that isn't completely true, but really, you got to get to him earlier than that, and you can't take penalties, because that's going to break up everything.
The only, I don't know, comfort, I guess you could say, is knowing that, yeah, he did it at home, talking about Connor Hellebuyck, but it does give me at least a little bit of hope, knowing that he got pulled in 3 straight road games in the playoffs and had like a ridiculous, what was it, like over 7 goals against average on the road or something.
Really bad. It was really bad. That's all you got to know.
And as bad as his save percentage was before tonight's game, at home, it was even worse on the road. It was like sub 800, which you never see that out of an NHL level goalie. Nonetheless, the one that's going to win the Vezina.
If we're talking about the next game, I mean, you got to get him on him early and quickly. I mean, you don't let him settle into the game, because he will start to show up again, because he's still in there.
And that's what I liked about game 1. They were trying to get to Connor Hellebuyck, and even if it wasn't a quality shot, and I know we kind of make fun of Carolina for just throwing everything at the net, but that's kind of what you had to do at that point, because his confidence was so shaken. And it feels like that's what you got to do against him in game 3. You just try to get traffic in front, make it really hard for him to be able to see the puck, look for deflections, broken plays, block shots that you can get a second opportunity on. Stuff like that. That seems to be the way that you can. I'm not saying it's easy, but an easier way to beat Connor Hellebuyck. Because if he plays like he did tonight, he's going to see everything if you just try to go off the rush. And again, like you said, James, they had their chances here tonight. At the end of the second period, I mean, Robo had a gargantuan chance with 10 seconds left in the first period. It was mostly off of turnovers or off of the rush. It wasn't trying to get, traffic in front or anything like that. And as many good goal scorers as the Stars have, Connor Hellebuyck's on the other side, and if he's playing elite, we don't stand a chance on that. So,
and I still go back to the Jets did get lucky on some of their goals tonight too. They're not going to get those bounces all the time, and it may only take 1 or 2 goals past Hellebuyck to win, because Otter on the other side of the ice also very, very elite, and he wants to prove that he's as good as Hellebuyck, if not better. So that's where the wild card kind of comes in, and you're like, yes, that goaltender's so good, but don't forget, ours is really good too.
And I can't believe it. We got all the way to that until now to talk about him, but tonight was not on Ottinger in the slightest.
Oh no.
he was also very good. It was just he was not Connor Hellebuyck level tonight, like he has been in previous games. So he was just very good. He gave his team a chance to win. It probably should have been more after the first period. It could have been more, and even after the second, it could have been more. But tonight is not his fault. He played a really good game, and if anybody blames him for the loss tonight, he didn't get any run support. In baseball terms, he got no run support. So
hard to blame someone when there's a big fat 0 on the other side of it.
Speaking of big fat 0, who is your biggest loser tonight? Who you got?
I'm giving mine to Jamie Benn again, because honestly, he had such a bad game last game, and we were expecting him to kind of come out and respond, and dare I say, he played worse, honestly, because he has all-time low for the playoffs yet again. Only played like 11:38, I think. I'll be shocked if he doesn't start on that fourth line, especially with how good Dodonov looked with Johnston and Robo.
For me, the most frustrating thing about this game was their lack of a huge response in the second period. And so I'm going to give my biggest loser to the response of the Dallas Stars in the second period. And yeah, I know that they played better in the second half of that second period, but it was mostly, I would say, like the last 5 or 6 minutes. But it was honestly a little too little too late. And you can't play a playoff game and do that. You have to respond. I mean that is one of the big monikers in the playoffs, is that when you get punched in the face or you get brought down, you have to respond quick. And I'm not trying to bring other series into this, but that's why, like, the Edmonton Oilers, despite them having, not great goaltending at all, their starting goalie is Calvin Pickard, he's a journeyman goalie. He's not a starter in the NHL, but he looked great in the game yesterday. And they know how to respond. The Oilers do when they get scored on. And the Stars, it never seems like, have that ability to go out and immediately respond and get a goal, or in between periods, going from one period to the next, where they get punched in the face in the first period. There was no response from them early on in the second, and that's what I was really frustrated about more than anything.
Well, I'll agree with you for this game that's true, but let's not forget that they actively have 4 comeback wins in the postseason. So they do respond. This game, they didn't show up at all. Good thing about the playoffs, it's one game, done, dusted, go to the next one.
Maybe I'm just frustrated because it's not more consistent, like the way we would want them to respond.
Okay, the Oilers don't count. They have 6 comeback wins in a row. That does not count. The Stars have 4 in the postseason. That is very, very good.
Fair enough. Who's your biggest winner?
I'm giving mine to Robertson. He really had an outstanding game. I think it's a miracle he didn't score. And he looks like he's back up to speed, and that's a really good sign. And if that Finn line stops working for just a little bit now, I think you'll see Robertson slot in onto the top line in favor of Granlund, because he is on now and he was creating plays.
I agree. He was legit invisible in game 1 in the Stars win. And I still think he's not fully 100%, obviously. I think he kind of got thrust. Maybe. I think he got thrust in a little bit earlier than maybe he wanted to, because I think that Blackwell
wants to get in as early as possible.
Okay, earlier than he should come in. I should say.
That is correct. That's correct.
Because I think Blackwell is dealing with something, and even a Robo that is like 80, I'm guessing he's 70 to 80% at this point, is better than a Bork who's 100% but hasn't played in like 2.5 weeks. Maybe he's played 2 games, I think. That's it in the playoffs.
I mean, I'd expect Robertson to have a huge game in Dallas for game 3.
Someone other than Mikko Rantanen needs to have a big game for Dallas. And for me, even more so, what I want to see is I want to see a more depth-defining game rather than a single player coming out and taking over a game. Because, I mean, if Mikko Rantanen wants to come out and do it again, of course, I'm not going to be against that, and I'm not going to be upset about that. But this is where the depth of the Dallas Stars, their biggest strength, arguably, needs to show up, because we have not seen it in the last 3 games.
You got to let the man take a break.
Yes.
He did it for 4 straight games. Give him a break.
The dude is like Santa Claus. His back is going to break from the sack of the Dallas Stars he's carrying right now. So, for me, my biggest winner, I'm giving it to Ottinger, because he was the one that gave them a chance to win, and the boys in front of him did not show up. And you know what's even crazier is that, you know, the one thing we haven't talked about is the defense. We have not talked about the defense this entire podcast. We're talking about how good the goaltending was, and we're talking about the lack of offense and the lack of the depth.
Again, do you get some lucky bounce the other way? Gotta have your offense show up. You can't win every game by scoring 1 goal, which they didn't even do tonight.
Well, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up here tonight. But before we do that, again, I'm just frustrated because of the way they played. And I would be even more frustrated if we were going down 2-0 in the series. I would be beside myself if we were
That's
going
the
down
big
2-0.
thing. They went in and they got the split.
And that's why I'm not as frustrated. And that's the positive coming out of this game, is that you're going back to Dallas. You got 2 games in Dallas where you've been very good. And if you get both, you're up 3-1 in the series, and you get 3 shots to close it out. So with one of those 3 shots being in Dallas in game 6. So we'll have to wait and see what the Dallas Stars decide to do, how they respond in game 3. As the series turns around back to Dallas, puck drop is 3:30-ish, I believe. I think it's actually like 3:52 or whatever. On Sunday during Mother's Day. We do want to say happy Mother's Day out there to all of those who are mothers, and also our own Madre, as I call her. We love you, Mom. We appreciate you so much for what you do for us. And also just want to say happy Mother's Day to my wife, Amanda, as well, who is just wonderful woman, amazing person, and does amazing things. So go and hug your mother and say thank you to them. Thank all of you who are joining live along with us this evening. Once again, click like and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. Hit that notification bell. Even if you're watching us afterwards, we'd really appreciate it. We have gained almost 100 subscribers in the last couple of days, and it's just phenomenal. The amount of outreach we've been getting the last couple of days, it's awesome, and we really appreciate you guys doing that. Please tell your friends about it. I'll steal Steve Dangle's line about all of that, and just let them know that this is where you can have a Stars rant session or therapy session here. And hopefully we can provide that for you as the Stars continue the series. Alongside James, my name is Ryan. We'll catch you guys on the flip side. Hope you all have a fantastic morning, afternoon, evening. Whenever you guys are listening, we'll be back with you guys again on Sunday. Thanks, guys.